Welcome back, everyone. Today I am doing a review on a piece of non-fictional scientific material by a journalist rather than a scientist, Einstein's Shadow, a black hole, a band of astronomers, and the quest to see the unseeable. This book is about a very large group of astronomers working simultaneously at different telescopes around the world in an attempt to be the first team to actually photograph a black hole. This book starts out uniquely, as it's written by a journalist and not a scientist. It starts out with a little bit of background on the astronomer Shep Doeleman. And it talks about his life and family a little bit before it gets down to the hard facts. And it talks about Shep assembling a team here, something that I didn't know. Telescopes can get a much more clear, intense image of something in outer space if multiple telescopes around the world are working in unison, looking at the same thing. They can compare the data and get a much more sharpened image. And that's what he's attempting to do. And it's a very big task. As weather patterns are different in different parts of the world, they kind of need ideal conditions at all of these different telescopes at the same time, over a long period of time, several days, in an attempt to get enough data to get a clear picture. So it's a really big task that takes place over years and years. And Seth Fletcher actually kind of chronicles astronomy, the history, a brief history of astronomy and the conception of black holes. Stephen Hawking's in the book. A lot of other big-name scientists come into play. And it talks about the pursuit of actually seeing a black hole, because we've never seen one. And this team ultimately, toward the middle of the book and toward the end, come together. They overcome a lot of obstacles, from malfunctioning equipment to personality defects and everything like that, to finally come together and get the data and everything like that. I did not like this book, and I'm going to tell you why. It started out actually fairly good. I liked the history involved. And finally, toward the middle, okay, it starts to come together in such a way that I'm wondering what's really going to happen with this. Are they really going to glimpse the black hole? What's really going to happen with this? And what happens between the middle and close to the end, this man, for some reason, goes on and on and on. My cat's making noise. Let me introduce you. This is Bun Bun, the cat, that likes to make noise only, it seems, when I'm recording these book reviews. There you go. You've been introduced to my cat. Seth Fletcher, for some reason, in the middle of this book, to like the 90% mark, goes into detail about equipment malfunctioning that these astronomers are experiencing. It is very painful. They're back online, they're offline, and here's what the problem was. They're back online, now they're offline, and they're having some more equipment problems, and here's what the problem was. It was just way too technical and in-depth concerning the malfunctioning of the equipment that these astronomers were using. And I think one of the reasons for that was that he was just lacking having enough material to write a good book. And it gets worse. Stay with me here. You can see that it's not very long to begin with. So he had to stretch something out, I think, and he stretched out the particular part of the story where they were experiencing malfunctions concerning their equipment. And I did not like it. It was painful. I was kind of reading where I was just kind of racing through it, kind of not even absorbing for a while. You know what I mean? It was just that bad. Finally, we get toward the end and it picks up. And I'm really anticipating something great here. Things are working finally and everything's going as planned. And at the end of this book, it turns out that these telescopes have accumulated so much data that has to be gone through that they won't know if they actually glimpsed the black hole for potentially years to come. So that was extremely anticlimactic at the end of this book. I was hoping it would say, ha ha, we did. We glimpsed the shadow, or we glimpsed some kind of activity that confirms for us certainly there's a black hole at the center of the Milky Way. But it didn't go there. It just didn't go there. I'm giving this book 2 stars out of 5. I do not recommend that you read this one. If you want to read something about black holes, I highly recommend you read something other than this. Maybe one of Stephen Hawking's books or something like that. This book was okay concerning the very brief history laid down concerning the pursuit and knowledge of black holes. But it goes on and on about things that just weren't really relevant or important. And ultimately, at the end, you get nothing as the climax. So there you go. I give it 2 stars out of 5. It wasn't the most painful thing I've ever forced myself to finish. But it was getting pretty painful there toward the middle. And then at the end, when I thought that the payoff was going to be worth the perseverance, it was not. Einstein's Shadow by Seth Fletcher. It was unique in the way that it was written by a journalist. And I appreciated that. But it was poor. It was a poor read. I don't recommend it. Einstein's Shadow. Do not read. That is my recommendation.